Well, hello and welcome to Bingewatch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the group editor of Woman and Woman and Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McEwen, writer on TV Times, TV and Satellite Week, What's on TV and whattowatch.com. And today we're looking at the new releases that will be available on Friday the 6th of June 2025, including Owen Wilson as a washed-up pro golfer in Stick on Apple TV+, and hospital comedy St Denis Medical on BBC iPlayer.
We'll also be checking out Tom Daley 1.6 seconds on Discovery Plus about the British diver and getting caught with a motley crew of Aussie soldiers on ITVX. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
Netflix heist thriller Here Comes the Flood, starring Denzel Washington, Robert Pattinson and Daisy Edgar Jones, will follow the interlinked fortunes of a bank guard, a teller and a thief.
And Jude Law and Andrew Garfield will play magicians Siegfried and Roy, famous for their use of tigers in their live shows in Apple TV Plus's 8-part drama Wild Things.
Quite comedy heavy this week, I would say, and we're going to start off on Apple TV Plus with a new comedy drama series called Stick. And here's a clip.
I found a kid who swings a golf club like a dream. What's your name?
I'm not into older guys, but I'm flattered.
Hey, get out of here. Who coached him?
His dad.
Why'd he stop playing?
His dad.
I'd like to try to qualify him for the U.S. Amateur Championship. I think he could win it all. You don't need to cut the corner here.
Why go around when you can just go over?
Tell me you don't want to go on this trip.
I don't want to go on this trip.
Your mouth's saying one thing, but those eyes are saying something else.
This is a 10-episode series. It's been described as the Ted Lasso of golf. I'm not quite sure that's accurate. And there haven't been that many films or TV series that have been about golf because I guess it's just not that promising a subject for the screen. You had Kevin Costner in Tin Cup, and of course Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore. This has got a touch of the Happy Gilmores about it, I guess. So it stars Owen Wilson. When you hire Owen Wilson, you very much get his distinctive style of performance. I mean, he's very distinctive looking as well, isn't he? But he's great in this. So he is playing a washed-up golfer who is bit of a grifter, really. He's called Price Cahill, and he had a sort of meltdown on live TV as a player during a tournament, and that was kind of the end of his playing career. He's working in a pro shop, sort of selling clubs. He's running these sort of minor stings after hours. His marriage to Amber Lynn, played by, not Anne Boleyn, Amber Lynn, played by Judy Greer, is over, and they're getting divorced and they're selling the house, which he doesn't want to do. Meanwhile, he's drinking, he's smoking weed. But one day at the driving range, he sees this 17-year-old boy called Santi, played by Peter Dager, who hits the golf ball a mile and has a fantastic swing. So Price decides he needs to get his life back on track because he's just in a mess. He's stuck in a rut. He's got no purpose really, and he sees that this could be something to latch onto. So the boy's not really interested, but he proposes to the boy and his mother that he kind of take him on tour and hopefully qualify him for the pro tour. So the mother Elena is played by Mariana Trevino. She's very good. And Price's former caddy called Mitz is played by Mark Maron. So, I mean, I really like Owen Wilson. I think he's just got such a gift for comedy. And he's just got a lot of charm in this, I think. He's got so much charisma and screen presence. You're going to see some real life golf pros cropping up in this. Colin Morikawa and Keegan Bradley, you may spot if you're a golf fan. If you enjoy golf, I think you'll particularly like this. And they're quite clever because capturing the action shots in golf has not always been easy, but of course they can use drones here, and that works very well. And it's got that Happy Gilmore vibe of like a young lad who's just a natural talent and can hit the ball an incredibly long way, but it's not as wacky as Happy Gilmore. So yeah, I must admit I really liked it, but I'm not sure it's going to be for everyone, Hannah.
Well, I'm a big fan of Owen Wilson, and I love the fact that he had never played golf before, and he had to have 2 years of lessons before doing this. It's a 10-part series, as you said, and it reminds me very much of my holiday, where we all, well, the boys, I should say, all went to play golf, and it was very competitive, and some of the people that were with us had lessons prior. And didn't win, Ian, didn't win. So it just shows, doesn't it? But Owen Wilson, back to his best, really enjoyed it. And I don't know, it feels a bit different. It's something a little bit different for him. So I really enjoyed that one.
We move across to BBC iPlayer for our next offering. It's a new comedy called St Denis Medical. And here's a clip.
Welcome to St Denis Medical Center.
St. Denis Regional Medical.
I have access to some really good stuff, and I will hook you up.
Yeah.
No, man. That was a test.
Boom!
We're like the Avengers, you know?
We're not supposed to have favorite patients, but we do.
I almost don't want them to get better.
Yes, so new comedy called St Denis Medical on BBC Two, and it's a mockumentary. I think this is quite Marmite, I'm not going to lie. I am a fan of Marmite, but I didn't like this. I didn't like it at all, and I really, really stuck with it. I've tried really hard to like it, and I feel like, Ian, you are going to like it, which is probably quite good. And this is why we do the pod, because I'm the yin to your yang. And essentially, this is... It's a fictional town of Merrick in Oregon, so it's American. It's an 18-part series, so honestly, it does go on and on a bit. If you don't like it, I mean, honestly, quit while you're ahead is what I would say, because it doesn't get any better if you don't like it. I don't think it's a grower. And it follows the overworked staff of this very underfunded hospital. So it will resonate with lots of people because, of course, you know, this is a big topic of conversation, isn't it? It's often filling column inches. And we see these sort of poor staff really dealing with the general public, the revolving door of patients and their problems, and everyone thinking that their problem is the biggest problem. And it's done with this kind of comedic side to it, which of course I think perhaps that's why it didn't really resonate in quite the way it should do with me, because I think it's not very funny, is it, actually, when you're waiting in a hospital casualty for A&E for 7 hours and no one's seeing you and you're in pain or whatever. So there's a little bit probably close to the mark in terms of actually how we're all feeling right now. Perhaps that's the reason I didn't like it. But also, it's the sort of this humour alongside it is they want to make this hospital a centre of excellence, and you get these kind of pieces to camera where someone will come in and give you a little bit of a talk about who they are, why they're there, why their parents didn't want them to do it or they did want them to do it, and you kind of get a little bit invested in each character. You've obviously got the ones who are a bit lazy, the ones who don't really want to do anything, the other ones who are absolutely passionate, and then the kind of the sort of characters, I suppose really the real characters that make up a general workplace, not just a hospital, and these kind of sets of skills that's required in navigating difficult patients who, like I say, feel like need to be seen first. So there are some storylines and narratives that run through it. There's a sort of funny-ish part about a sort of drug addict and coming in and kind of getting cleaned up, and then them helping, and then they kind of make it very, again, sort of funny. But it's not very real. I mean, it's a mockumentary and it doesn't feel very well. I suppose in my head when I was watching it, it translated in the same way The Office did from the UK to the US. That's sort of how in my head it kind of worked, and I didn't feel it worked brilliantly well. But yeah, I've been pretty negative about it, Ian. I feel like you're going to like it a lot more than I did.
Well, I didn't dislike it, but I didn't particularly rave about it either. So you've got the range of different bods working in the hospital. You've got Wendy McClendon-Covey plays Joyce, who is the executive director. You also have senior nurse Alex, played by Alison Tolman. You've got emergency doctor Ron, played by David Alan Greer. You've got a trauma surgeon, played by Joss Lawson, and a new nurse, played by Meki Leeper. The Office spawned a hell of a lot of mockumentaries, of course, and set the bar so high because it was so funny and in some ways quite cruel. This is more kind of inoffensive, I guess, really, and it's not as sort of out there as something like Scrubs or Green Wing. It's perfectly enjoyable, but just I don't think it's that memorable. It's created by a couple of guys from behind Superstore and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It has been commissioned for a second season, but yeah, I was a little bit underwhelmed by it, even though I think the performances are perfectly good, the script's amiable enough, but it didn't really set the world on fire. Over on ITVX we have a new comedy called Caught, and here's a clip.
Americans.
We're not American. We're Australian, like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah,
The Mel Gibson.
yeah. Early Mel Gibson.
You're all going to die. Wait, you don't want to kill us? With all the focus on us, you could convince anyone of anything. We can tell your story.
You have one day, but if I do not like it...
Well, then you could shoot me next. All we have to do, please, these people are going to kill us, is make the greatest hostage video ever.
This is a four-parter. I would say it's sort of aiming to be a bit like Tropic Thunder, the film starring the likes of Ben Stiller, but falling quite short of that, I think. So it's about some Australian soldiers who are sent on a secret mission to a fictional island, and they're mistaken for American spies. They're kidnapped, and then for whatever reason they make a fake hostage video. The humour is very hit and miss, and some of it is rather broad. I mean, at one point you see a big fake penis in this kind of weird homoerotic section, and it involves Sean Penn and Susan Sarandon, oddly, and I wonder if they may regret, well, obviously they got paid, but certainly Sean Penn, he appears first as himself on a cookery show on TV, which then kind of morphs into this weird Macarena dance routine. It just falls very flat. So, yeah, I suppose we've got a few things that we're not raving about. It's got Matthew Fox from Lost in it as a very kind of macho US Special Forces operative. Sarandon is playing the US Secretary of State. You got Brian Brown as the Australian Prime Minister. So it's, it's certainly got some talent there on screen, but I think it thought it was a lot funnier than it actually was. So I was somewhat underwhelmed. Hannah?
Well, they've really rolled out the red carpet for this one, haven't they, Ian? Sean Penn, Susan Sarandon, a four-part kind of satirical comedy, and it's these Australian, quite stupid Australian soldiers who are captured when, I mean, like you say, it's kind of it's a secret mission in this fictional war-torn island. It's really quite bizarre. Often we talk about a lot of genres and things that are very similar from one to another, and you think, how can you make it different? This is quite different, isn't it? And actually, the character Sean and Susan who have agreed to do this obviously saw something in this that they thought would be absolutely brilliant for them, and they kind of make it. I think it's quite strange because, again, the subject matter is quite tough, but yet with this comedic streak. And I do find that, those two things sometimes difficult to sort of reconcile. But it works, and I do like both actors playing, so that helps.
We're going to finish on Discovery Plus with a documentary called Tom Daley, 1.6 seconds, and here's a clip.
Did I go to the Olympics in Beijing in 2008? Did I win a European title at 13, win a world championship at 15 because my dad wasn't going to see me win the rest? I was not ready for this. I didn't know how to deal with that. It's a very lonely experience.
Yes, so Tom Daley, 1.6 seconds on Discovery Plus. So he's a 5-time Olympic medalist, Tom Daley. And I feel like he's a real character celebrity in his own right, isn't he, these days? And he's brought knitting back to everybody. I don't know, I feel like we're massively invested in his life, more than a lot of Olympians. Olympians seem to kind of keep their personal life away from the press to a degree, don't they? And you see them in their moment for their sporting achievements, and that's kind of it. But with Tom, we've kind of lived every moment because, of course, he is a child star. And I think that's really relevant to this because we see child stars all the time, don't we, in the celebrity world, whether they're musicians, pop stars, whatever. And it's always really quite a fraught path and quite a difficult path. And Tom Daley has had an incredible career, but from a very, very young age. And this documentary shows interviews with him, shows clips with him. It's really emotional at times. He has found it really, really tough being in that limelight from such a young age. And he says at one point, the only people I can really talk to is you, and you're watching me. That's it. And he's also he came out as gay very publicly. He's married now with 2 children, and has carved out an amazing life for himself. And I think is a real icon for so many people. But this catalogues right from the very beginning, right until not the end of his career, but sort of diving career, I should say. And it's his first time, I suppose, to tell his story in his own words in this kind of feature-length film. And there are times where he breaks down, and you want to break down with him. Really thoroughly enjoyed this. You don't need to be into diving. You don't need to be into any of it. You just need to hear someone's story and hear it in their own words and through their own lens. Just makes it massively compelling.
I also really enjoyed this. It's so good. And as you say, what's particularly striking about it is he's so young when he was sort of discovered as a diving talent and was going away to training camps and going away to big competitions away from home. And you can tell that was very difficult for him. And 1.6 seconds is sort of the time he spends in the air before hitting the water anyway. And yeah, the view from that high board is absolutely terrifying. So he talks about losing his father, who was not sort of like his biggest support because he used to travel with him everywhere. And yeah, runs through the big events, the Olympics, of course, but also talks about, press intrusion, like so many celebrities treated badly by the tabloid press. As you said, Hannah, deciding to come out, which he did with a film he made of himself and put on the socials. We hear from his other half, who of course is a famous screenwriter, Lance. I'd forgotten quite a lot about his diving career, both as an individual and synchronized diver. So it was good to run through that again. And also to hear him talk about when he sort of thought he was going to retire, but he felt that pull to go back. And he just comes across as such a likable character. I mean, this is why he's almost kind of got a national treasure status already, hasn't he? People really relate to him. They warm to him. He's very honest in this. He just comes across so well. And besides all that, just watching the skill of his diving is absolutely breathtaking. So yeah, I thought this was very, very good. Well, we've got to that time, Hannah, and welcome back, by the way, when we find out what the hell you've been binge watching this week.
Well, Ian, actually, I've got to be honest with you. I've been binging books because I have been away. So I have been reading Richard Osman's book, Thursday Night Murder Club, which is brilliant, which of course is being made, isn't it, into a series, which will be absolutely amazing. I love who they've got as already in the cast. It's a brilliant lineup. So in terms of television, I'm letting you down, folks, this week. I've just been binging on the books. I'll have to hand over to Ian for that one, and I'll be back to my very best next week.
Well, Netflix, sensibly, after showing their true crime documentary series about Fred and Rose West, they have added Appropriate Adults, which was a crime drama. It was first shown on ITV in 2011, based on the story of the serial killers from Gloucester and starring Dominic West as Fred, Monica Dolan as Rose, and Emily Watson as Janet Leach, who was the appropriate adult representing Fred West in police interviews and so on, and that is very good. Now, we've just got time to look ahead to next week's offerings, which include Sir David Attenborough's wildlife documentary Ocean, which was previously shown in cinemas and is coming to Nat Geo and Disney. What else are we going to be talking about, Hannah?
Bryce Dallas Howard, Nick Mohammed and Orlando Bloom, all lovely, play thespian crime fighters in action comedy Deep Cover on Prime Video. So I look forward to that.
As do I, and to much, much more. But in the meantime, listeners, keep watching.